is not about initiating, it's about
Right.
responding, to know that when the time is right, you can respond, but you have to kind of trust in the natural flow and rhythm of life. In this case, what's teaching us.
It's
So,
very interesting to
yeah,
start off December like that.
December.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why do you
Because of,
think?
well, just because of like how we were talking, like it feels like such a time of like trying to do everything and kind of pushing to make sure things happen. But
Hmm.
literally, it's telling us at the start of the month, like, you just gotta, like, you gotta flow with it. You gotta trust it. Like,
Hmm.
it'll work out. It'll be good.
Human design reveals who you are energetically and who you came here to be. I'm Dana, your human design guide.
And I'm Haley on this journey with you to uncover the power of human design.
Together, we're here to explore how embracing your authentic self is the ultimate path to a life of more freedom and fulfillment.
Welcome to the Human Design Hive podcast. Let's get into it.
Well, hello there, Haley. How you doing?
Hey,
Felt
good.
like not just jumping in your ear today and just we were we were just trying to get ourselves out of a yawning loop. We've been chit-chatting a little bit before we hit record, and
Mhm.
next thing we know, we're just back and forth yawning at each other. I hate that.
I know. I still feel like there's like half a yawn stuck.
I know I'm tamping it down on like the level of control here. I'm trying really hard.
Mhm.
But big changes here on the podcast. If you're not watching us on YouTube, Haley has a new look.
I got bangs.
She got bangs, which looks super cute. Like them. It's an adjustment for me. When you first jumped on screen, I was like, I don't know how to look, but as I keep looking at them, super cute. And I can't do that. I think I had bangs once, and I have a very short forehead. Now everybody's gonna look at my forehead. But mix it up. You
Mhm,
that
mhm.
line 6 of experimenting.
I know. I was like,
You're in your
let's try
experimenting
bangs
phase.
again. I
Well, the real savior for you is that you're in Colorado where it's dry. And
yeah.
so if you were in humid land like where you grew up, might not be as cute. Because I remember when you had them when you were like early teens, they did look
Mhm,
great when we went out to Colorado. I remember that.
mhm.
I mean, they look fine most of the time. I don't remember day to day what they look like, honestly. Apparently there's a lot of comb over action happening.
I can let me see if I can show you them. That was no, those ones. That was not really a bang in
No, that
those
wasn't.
in the
Yeah.
comb over era.
Yeah.
That was bad.
That was like 12-year
It
old
was like
bad.
this one, like very
Like a man
straight.
that's comb over across your forehead. I think it was the
It was
trend back then
so.
in 2010 or whatever that was. So, anyways, but yeah, so big changes.
Yes, and that's it.
That's it. No. Speaking of
Mhm.
changes in the air, because we're moving into some new energies here. Like, I mean, we do all the time, every 6 days, the sun transits, but this is our transit episode for
Mhm. Yay.
December 2024.
Yes. Mhm.
Closing out the year. I think, let's
Crazy.
see, when this one airs is going to actually be in December. So happy December, everybody. It's going to
December
be
3rd.
3rd, I believe. Yeah. Which is when we are going to be moving into a new gate. So that's why we're doing it on the 3rd.
Look at that.
And we skipped last week with Thanksgiving because, I
Mhm.
mean, between the Black Friday emails that are in your inbox and whether you're traveling to or fro somewhere, it's just a lot going on. I'm sure nobody was just like hating for the next episode. So we just took a break because it's getting to be that time of year and
Mhm.
everybody's kind of busy. So I understand that. But it is also important to check in with these transits to know what's going
Mhm.
on, especially now that I think this time of year now is the most like interaction, social, intensive family relationship part of the year, don't you? Like where
It really is.
everything comes to an head. It's like you must deal with everything.
They're like, we have to finish the calendar year by seeing everyone.
Seeing everyone, you've got to be the best parent. You've got to be on top of being a good uh also
Host.
a good parent host. You've got to make sure all your friends that get all the gifts, and you've got to host the party. I mean, maybe you do. I don't. I always managed. I mean, it was more intensive, right? When you guys were younger, you would have to consider things
Mhm,
like what the kids want for Christmas and where we're going to go for the holiday. I mean, luckily, we never usually had to go anywhere. Everybody came to our house since you grew up
mhm,
in the family home, let's say, because this is the house where your dad grew up. So the family was used to gathering here. And so I got off easy on that one. I mean,
mhm,
everybody came over, but that was fine. I don't like traveling around to other people's houses on like Christmas and Thanksgiving, and I appreciate that I don't have to. Although I would, in a heartbeat, be at your house this year if I
mhm.
could, but I
I
don't
know.
think that's gonna plan out. Let's not get sad. But so, anyways, yeah. So it's time for the transits to know what is happening out there
Mhm,
in the cosmos, particularly with the sun.
mhm.
What? Were you going to
Yes.
say
I was
something?
gonna ask if we were entering into a new quarter.
No, remember we did beginning of last month, I think it was.
Okay.
End of October into November was the quarter of mutation, is when
Okay.
I think that's when we started doing all those individual gates,
Yes. Mhm,
right? I don't have the
mhm.
exact date, but so we're still in the quarter of mutation, which will go until sometime in
End of January.
February or something like that.
Because
Yeah, it's
the
past
quarter
the.
is 3 months.
See, you're thinking that way. I'm thinking of when the human design new year is when it starts. Technically, when it resets, the mandala
Mhm,
starts repeating, which is at the end of January, I believe. Okay, all right. So we're doing the sun transits. I
mhm,
promise. Um, because the sun is the largest celestial body close to us, right? I mean, we've got
mhm,
planets that are closer, but the sun is so big, it's our star.
mhm.
And most in human design, we talk about the neutrinos, which are all these uh, very, very,
Teeny,
very,
teeny,
very
tiny.
small, whatever they are, that are streaming through the cosmos at all times, streaming through us at all times right now. Everything's going through.
Mhm,
And so being such a big celestial body has a lot of neutrinos that are constantly moving through us and moving through the planet. And so in human design, that's why the sun carries such heavy weight in a person's design and their energetic makeup is because it's something like 70% of your design is about this theme that is happening um,
mhm.
in that gate. And so each gate is roughly how many days, Haley?
Roughly 6.
Roughly 6. And when we talk about them, we're giving you dates, but as I said, there could be a little bit wiggle room there of when it
Mhm,
actually starts. But, like I said, if you're on my email list, I try to send it out
mhm.
as close as I
Yeah.
can to let you know when the transit
Mhm.
happened.
So, I mean, it's not like it's not like it says at midnight, this gate switches off and this one switches on. It's like they meld
Yeah.
together a little bit. They got some crossover and then we
Yeah.
flow
And it
into the
doesn't
next
always
one.
happen at midnight. So, what determining what the day is, right? So, anyways, so we have been doing this almost a whole year now of
I
going
can't
through
believe that.
going through all the gates, and I've found that it's really helped me get a deeper understanding of those energies and really how
Mhm,
a lot of things move in the chart and the significance of things and starting to see the deeper patterns of
mhm,
um, the that are present in the system. And so as you said, we're in the quarter of mutation, which is about transformation. So we've been through the like initiating phase, we've been through the building phase, we've been through the like relationship phase where everything's in relation. And now mutation is all about transformation. And it's about a lot of that power of the individual again,
Mhm.
because when we look at human design, a lot of that is when we're talking about mutation, it's in those individual knowing channels. Now, not all the gates are going to be individual gates. That's not how it's working, but it's just there's going to be, I think, a lot of themes around uh, the self, what's good for the self, what's kind of it's interesting because it's to me trying to still get an understanding of this quarter and what it's all about. I'm always learning and usually when I learn something that finally makes sense, I'll try to share it with you. Just want you all to know that I'm no like the authority on anything. I'm still learning because
Yep.
I don't think anybody's going to be able to know all this
Mhm.
stuff. It's just a lot. It's a lot here in the system. So, anyways, as I reason I'm saying all that is because I'm looking at the gates that we have this December, and this will actually be the third time I think I've touched on it because I feel like I know I've talked about it. Maybe it's only the second time. I feel like it's the third, especially especially towards the end of December. I know I've talked about these gates before, but
Mhm.
anyways, we're just gonna eventually get to it now. I apologize, but that's all right. That's what the timestamps are in the show notes and on YouTube. If you don't want to listen to me yammer on, then you want to get to the meat of things, then that's what they're for. You're still going to have a lot of stuff you're going to have to listen to with me in between. I'm always going to yammer. Okay, so on December 3rd,
Mhm.
the sun will be transiting into gate 5. You're just looking at me with a like I was waiting for you to go, oh.
I was trying to think of something like if I had some kind of reference for a 5, but nothing.
Okay.
There was nothing.
Well, gate 5's in the sacral,
Oh.
and it's called in human design, it's called waiting
Mm.
in traditional. In the I Ching, it's called patterns. And in quantum, she calls it consistency.
Ah, patterns.
It forms a channel with gate 15 in the G center, and that channel is called rhythm. And so gate 5 is about consistency,
Oh.
and gate 15 is a little bit more about
Mm.
variability.
And I remember talking about these, and I remember we've talked about these 2 gates and kind of how they're both patterns and repeating of stuff, but it's like different flows of the patterns.
Yeah, there's more
Mhm.
diversity in gate 15 than gate 5. So gate 5's like consistency. When I first started learning about it, because I have gate 5 defined, um, you know, what you always point out to people, what I always point out to people is liking your routines, liking your things the
Mhm.
same way. I definitely get stuck in those like patterns of doing things the same. The most obvious and biggest one, and one people always refer to, is like having your cup of coffee in the morning. It's like you've got to have your routine of how you do things. And if you're upset by if that routine gets interrupted, it can cause like issues. You're not happy about it. I mean, your
Mhm.
world's not going to fall apart. Maybe some people would, but it's definitely like a
Those are rinsing your whole day.
bone of contention. Yeah. Like I said,
Mhm.
when I was, what was I gonna say? When your dad and I, we talked about this before because this is somebody already commented to me once about not having the ability to make coffee when we were in Utah, not realizing that, of course, the Airbnb didn't have a coffee maker. They don't drink coffee. I was like, this is insane.
This religion is even worse now.
So, but it is something I definitely still look forward to. But I do have a certain routine and way I like doing things, but it's these really the deeper themes in this gate, the rhythms are like the natural rhythms and the rhythm of the universe and nature. Like things happen in cycles. Like there's always a time for something. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
And it talks about waiting in the sense of it's an active state of waiting. Because if you think about it's in the sacral, it's going to be in
Mhm.
response, right?
Mhm.
There's a certain, is it the right time to act? Do you feel like this is the right time to act? And going with your own, not going with your own, that's more in gate 15 is like kind of bucking those norms and like knowing if that timing is meeting up with your timing. Whereas this gate 5 timing is more of like, it feels like it's very connected to nature
Mhm.
and the seasons, the moon, all those things. And it's one of the other gates. Gate 19 is one, and gate 5 is also tends to have a lot of not sensitivity, but people who have those gates usually are like attuned to animals. Like they like animals are important to them,
Mhm.
their own animals, because it's that natural world kind of thing. And I think I always wonder every time I look at my cat Lily, I mean to look into the design of animals, like because I know you can run a
Mhm.
chart for
Mhm.
your animal if you happen to know their birth time. They have a different body graph than we have. They're not going to have all the same
Mhm.
places, I think, circuitry even, because they are different
They're
species.
not people.
But I figured gate five's got to be in there because, like, my cat Lily and a lot of animals, your pets, have rhythms that they follow. They have instinctual,
Mhm.
like, patterns, right? There's the migrations, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
But like, my cat has more of a routine than I do.
She really does.
It fully depends on me and what time I wake up and what time I leave my room and what time I do this and what time I do, because she hears
But
me
it is her
stirring.
pattern.
Yeah, she hears me stirring in the morning and she's outside my door meowing, waiting to be let in. And it is like, I mean, no matter what kind of mood you're in, if you wake up and that cat's just dying to get in your room to talk to you, like she
It's
does, she
so
talks to
sweet.
me. She's got
Mhm.
to talk
And
to me
she'll talk to you and she reaches out for you and it is the sweetest thing.
every day. It's so exciting for her to wake up and see me. I love it.
So
But
cute.
yeah, so when you have this gate, you do thrive on those like consistent rhythms.
Mhm.
It makes you feel healthier to be in tune with those rhythms. The because
I have a question for you.
yeah. Hmm.
So you have gate 5 defined. So I know that like daylight savings when it ends, it screws us all up every year. But do you find that maybe it messes with your routines a little more?
Oh,
Like
it's
do you think
certainly.
it screws with you more?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think everybody's routines get messed up, but it really messes with mine. I don't like it because, like, in particular, in the summer when the days are longer and it's hot, I was taking the dog for a walk, but like 6:30. That's when I
Mhm.
wanted to go for a walk because it we eat later in the summer because of
Mhm.
your dad. And it's very much though, I think I blame him, but it's really like a daylight nighttime thing that it just feels
Very
wrong.
natural.
Yeah, it feels wrong for me to be eating dinner when it's light outside. Like, I don't like it. And I always say every year, we're not going to be eating that late in summer because I really don't want to be eating that late. But
Mhm.
I mean, it just happens every year. It's just, it
You
feels
it
weird.
literally you literally creep with the days as they get longer. Your dinner time gets later and later. It just
But,
creeps.
and it's gotten earlier now that it's gotten darker. Like, I think, what was it the other day? I was like, it felt so late when we were eating dinner, but by the time we were cleaned up and everything was done, I looked at the clock and it was like 8 o'clock. And I was like, my God, it's so early because it's been dark for like, so what time is it? We're recording right now. It's 5 o'clock and it's getting dark. And I don't like that
Oh.
now it has shortened my day because I do like to take the dog for a walk in the afternoon.
Mhm.
because I really like evenings. I just like evenings to walk her. In the summertime, it's because it was cooler.
Mhm.
I don't like early mornings doing stuff like that. Like my mornings are not for lots of activity. My morning is more about my coffee and,
It's
of
a slow warm up.
a slower or doing some reading or researching or sometimes journaling or coloring. It's like eh, I just don't like to do it. Then it
Mhm.
makes me interested that to think about I used to be doing stuff a lot, but in the morning, but I used to say I'm not a morning person,
Mhm.
but I think it comes down to this like my own rhythm and the things that I want to be doing as opposed to other people putting
Mhm.
their
Mhm.
their plans on me that I didn't like
Mhm.
cuz I remember when you guys were little, of course everybody knows when you have little kids, you got to get up a lot earlier because those little hellions want to wake up at the crack of dawn. My kids don't
Look,
want to sleep in.
they are following nature's cycle.
That's right. They can't help it. But no, actually, it's the stupid schools would like
Mhm.
make freaking kids get to school at 7:15,
So
and I had
ridiculous.
to when I was working in the schools this 2 year in the public schools, I had to be at work at like 7:15. Like I don't even know how in the world I did that. And that was also when I started practicing yoga. And I remember I was training, quote unquote, training to go on our Christmas break. I think we were going to go to Key West or somewhere. And a yoga studio there, Batabi Joyce was going to be there, who was the like guy that brought Ashtanga yoga to the United States, or just one of the eminent teachers.
Mhm.
I was waking up at like 4:30 in the morning to like practice the primary series by myself in the dark at home. Like I don't know where I got
Jeez.
that from. I do not have that discipline anymore. But that was the only time I had to myself because then I had to like you guys got up and then I don't remember if you went to school with me or if your dad. I don't even remember how you guys got to school in those days. I mean, you were
I
in
would
that
think
same school.
we
I think
probably
you
would
came
just go
with
with
me.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, but sorry, flashing back. But I stopped doing it after a while. But like I just definitely like my own rhythm, and it's during this time of exploring rhythms and everything. It's like really in this gate when we're talking about our own rhythms, what it really comes down to in like the bigger scheme of thing is a theme of trusting in timing, that there
Mhm.
is a time for everything. Like you can't rush the leaves falling off the trees, right? My beautiful tree out here that I look at, I've been watching all the stages it's been going through
Mhm.
because it's a very large tree of when it
It is a
starts
very
to
large tree.
yeah, when it starts to drop leaves. And I noticed when I was driving home the other day, the top of it is nearly bare, but it like has its own way of it loses leaves from the top first on down. But and so
Mm.
why that's important is to we're so busy always trying to feel like we need to make things happen. But if you can sit back and relax and know that Marianne Williamson would always say, the acorn is always going to turn into an oak tree. You can't rush the process and you don't need
Mhm.
to. Like you don't have to control it. It will unfold in its own way. And that's kind of the theme here in this gate is about understanding that if you can just kind of be in this expectation state. Remember, it's a sacral gate,
Mhm.
so that you know that you don't have to initiate because sacral is not about initiating, it's about
Right.
responding. To know that when the time is right, you can respond, but you have to kind of trust in the natural flow and rhythm of life. And this gate's what's teaching us.
It's very
So,
interesting to
yeah,
start off December like that.
December. Yeah.
Mhm.
Why do you
'Cause of
think?
well, just because of like how we were talking, like it feels like such a time of like trying to do everything and kind of pushing to make sure things happen, but
Mm-hmm.
literally it's telling us at the start of the month, like, you just gotta, like, you gotta flow with it. You gotta trust it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it'll work out. It'll be good.
Hmm.
The time is
Yeah.
right. Things will happen.
And also, you're right when you take that view out, and it's like it's also like winter. We're still moving towards the shortening of the
Yeah.
days. We haven't even reached the winter solstice. This
Mm-hmm.
isn't the time to initiate, like you said. It is
Yeah.
in the natural flow of time and everything. This is a slower pace, a
Yeah.
slower time.
I mean, we literally just talked about it. The days are shorter. There's less actual light. Like, if we
Mm-hmm.
didn't have electricity in our homes, like, we would be
Mm-hmm.
doing less during a normal day. So,
That's nice, doesn't it?
yeah.
Like right before we got on, I went back into my bedroom, which right next to
Mm-hmm.
my bedroom is your old bedroom, which
Mm-hmm.
is Lakeland's bedroom now.
Mm-hmm.
And she just came back today uh, for, she'll be staying here during Thanksgiving break. And she went and had lunch with her aunt and uncle. And, and she's, it's what, almost 4 o'clock. She's just passed out on her bed, sleeping. The cat is Lily is sleeping in her suitcase. And I was just like, God, Sunday afternoon. I was like, man, must be nice. I was like, I wish I was napping. And I'm like, who you kid? You don't nap. I just
Your
like the
cycle says
idea.
no, no.
I just like the idea of giving myself the luxury of feeling like I want a nap.
I know.
I always feel like I should be doing
Someday.
something.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so obviously if this gate's about being in the flow of the natural rhythm and timing and relaxing, in shadow it would be more about that initiating and trying
Mm-hmm.
to make decisions with your mind of when is the right time, ignoring maybe cues from the universe or the natural world about where you should be focusing, what you should be doing if you're not ready, or like not trusting. Like I think you can I've been able to suss out as time goes on. I've been learning about this sacral response and learning about how I'm not supposed to be initiating when
Mm-hmm.
can think back to things I have initiated and not trusted the right timing, because I just really wasn't aware of it, because I just felt like I had to be, nobody's going to look at me or pay attention to me
Mm-hmm.
or give me the opportunity if I'm not just like shove it in their face. But now I've realized, no, that's, and I can feel the difference, even though it feels uncomfortable sometimes to wait, because there's still that fear there, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
not having something to respond to or not being
Right.
recognized, let's
Mm-hmm.
say. But it feels much better to wait than it does to remember what it felt like when I was initiating. And there was a part of me that felt that I was not doing the right thing. Like I knew I was pushing. You know what I mean? Like, when you're looking for attention and you feel it, but you also have this fear that if I don't, nobody's going to know. You know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can understand that because if I also kind of think to like times where I have like been in a conversation with friends and I kind of keep going with something and I can feel that no one is responding to it, but at the same time I
You
can't
couldn't help
stop.
yourself. Yeah, because you're like, I gotta say it, or they won't hear me,
Yeah.
or
Yes.
yeah, it's not trusting. It's not
Mhm.
trusting for the right time to occur. So yeah, so think about those themes as we're moving through these couple days through gate 5, thinking about, are you operating in flow? Are
Mhm.
you trusting? What are your natural rhythms? Especially if you have this gate and this is all new to you. Really look at how you feel when maybe your routine is disrupted and it'll be too rigid on things. And then also thinking about, well, where is it what we were just talking about? Why am I so scared that if I don't get what I want right now, I won't get it? Do you trust that it may still happen? What is it that you're really afraid of? And what's, preventing you from trusting? And maybe looking back and being like, well, maybe when I did relax, did things work out a little bit better?
Mhm.
That's a big theme in human design, isn't it? the waiting.
Yeah. I mean, the whole system kind of just telling us all to like take a chill, like
Chill.
just like
Stop being
let's
such a
slow it
pushy
down.
bitch and just chill.
Uh, uh,
Mm,
pretty much.
pretty much. All right, so I think we beat that one down.
Yeah, what's the next one?
The next one. So the next gate is on December 9th. Excuse me. We will be moving into gate 26.
26.
Yes, you have it.
Oh,
It's
I
your
do.
unconscious son, right?
Uh, yes.
Mm-hmm. So where's gate 26, Haley?
It's in the Will Center.
Yes, it's in the Will Center. It
Mhm.
is in human design traditional called the trickster.
Oh,
Uh, in the
I
I Ching,
only can we vote to rename that Loki? That's Gate Loki.
gate Loki.
Look,
Yeah,
the trickster.
Sora. Yeah,
I know
certainly
it
he's
doesn't really
tricky.
fit the vibe, but
I
the
like
trickster
Loki
is
though.
Loki.
In the I Ching calls it the taming power of the great, which is a mouthful. And then in quantum, she calls it integrity. As you said, it's in the will center or the ego center, and it's in the channel 2644, the channel of surrender, which we talked about 44 back in October, at the end of October, going into November, and which I think is right where that at the end of the
Order.
quarter, yeah, of duality into mutation. And so this is that channel is really important. It's always referred to in the channel of like sales. It's called surrender.
Hmm.
But do you remember what 44 was about in the spleen? It's the fear of the past repeating
The
itself.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm
you gonna
sorry.
say that. You asked me a question and then just kept
I wasn't
talking.
I wasn't gonna ask you the fear. I was just gonna ask you if you remember the themes. Sorry. God.
That's
I
all
was
I had.
I should have known by how defeated you got. Like, oh. So
Hmm.
the 44 in the sales process would be it's about alleviating the fears. It's about reshaping memory. It has to
Hmm.
deal with memory of knowing what the tribe might be afraid of, looking at the past and what happened before, and afraid of the past repeating itself,
Hmm.
but knowing that in order for the tribe, because tribal circuitry, to survive or thrive, they may need to do things a little differently, may need to gather resources, they may need to
Hmm.
do all these things, and they may be hesitant to it because they're afraid. This is the overall theme. But gate 44 helps people kind of alleviate those fears, make them feel more comfortable. Uh, Karen Curry Parker, I love the way she said it, like in the sales process, that would be like when you go into the sales showroom or whatever, it's the real estate agent, like staging the house, like
Baking cookies.
baking cookies, making it. Can't you see yourself living here? It would
Hmm.
be great. So gate 26 then is really the deal closer, the broker, the one that actually like closes the deal, right? And it is the archetype of a salesperson, and it's the energy of being able to manipulate the situation to their advantage.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that sounds terrible at
it
first, right?
does. It does.
Yeah,
Because
especially.
manipulate sounds so bad.
But it doesn't have to be, because if you
Hmm.
think about, and it sounds even worse when you talk about it in the framework of human design. What they talk about in this gate is having the ability to manipulate the situation to your advantage. And
Hmm.
really, the energy in this gate is always trying to seek maximum reward for minimum effort.
It just keeps getting worse.
It's a well-centered gate. I
Hmm.
mean, how much it's got limited reserves of energy there, right? There's
Hmm.
there's
Hmm.
output there,
Hmm.
but it's limited. And so this is a very persuasive energy. This can be very persuasive. So what I like to point out is that this is the energy that lets you know you need something. It's like everything we buy, the things that enhance our lives, we don't know about them until somebody tells us about it and
Hmm.
sells us on it, right?
Hmm.
I mean, that's one thing they always tell you. This is a very hard journey on the like entrepreneurial journey is sales, especially for women, because there's so many negative perceptions about sales, which would be what this important theme in this gate is about integrity,
Mhm.
because it is a naturally persuasive energy. People are going to listen to what you have to say. So you have
Mhm.
to be like, good. Are you
Yeah.
good? In
Mhm.
integrity, right? Because it's being able to sell and market without force. It's a very natural energy. And like I said, you have this as your unconscious son. And so
Mhm.
you may not always be aware that you're doing it. But I mean, you were trying to sell me on that au gratin potato recipe before we got on here.
I know. I I do. If it's something that I really like and I want to share, I do
And
sell
you
it and I
think it
don't
would
realize it.
benefit. And you think
Yeah.
it would benefit. And that's what the energy is for, is it's not meant to necessarily enrich yourself. It's tribal energy, right? So
Mhm.
it is supposed
I
to
do
like
I
know
do
that,
recognize it more.
yeah, you're like trying to make things better. You're trying to enrich your people.
I was literally I have a perfect example of this.
Okay.
So I was talking to Mary Claire, my best friend. I was talking to her. She was having some relationship problems. This guy is an asshole. And
I
I was
think
like
she
telling
listens
her,
sometimes.
we've talked about this in text. But
Okay.
I was telling her, I was like, you need to cut off communication with him. Like, you need someone that's gonna like make you shine brighter, not dim you. And she's like, you're so right. And then I was like, I think you need to like completely block him. Like, block his phone number. Don't
Hmm.
go back to him again. She's like, no, to me, like blocking is like it's really malicious. Like she's like, if I block someone, it's because I like it feels really mean for her to block someone. I was like, it's not about being mean, it's about protecting yourself. So like
Hmm.
and I told her several times, I was like, I really think you need to block him. So I'm like, oh, that's me trying to sell it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's not a product, but it's certainly what your point of view that
I'm trying to it's
help
something that
her.
I think would help benefit her and make
Hmm.
it better for her. And I was like, oh yeah, that's me trying to sell.
Yeah. And it would. Or yeah, you're good. You don't always realize you're doing it,
Hmm.
but it's because you're not using it in a manipulative fashion of trying to, like I said, if in a shadow aspect of this, it would be putting yourself first and getting them to buy something or
Hmm.
buy into something in order to enrich or help yourself. There's the shadow of
Hmm.
arrogance here, being self-absorbed, manipulative. This is the energy that our president elect carries in his
Hmm.
South Node and in his conscious moon, line 5, even
Mhm,
26, line
mhm,
5. So I think we see the example of shadow aspects there. But the man is a salesman. I
mhm,
mean, I would say I remember it was Barbara Cochran who was on Shark Tank who knew him from back in the day in Shark Tank, not Shark
mhm.
Tank, real estate in New York City. She's not a fan of his, but she says she'd never met a salesman as adept as him because he
Yeah.
knows what people want to hear and he knows how to manipulate the message and make
Mhm,
them believe that this is in their best interest. And that's how it is can be used as a weapon as well.
mhm, mhm,
But there's highs and lows and everything. So that's an important thing to pay attention to during this transit of, are people trying to sell you on an idea? Do you have your own ideas that you're trying to, or your own reasons for trying to perhaps persuade something or
mhm.
someone? I mean, it's important to remember that this is also projected energy. So, what does that mean?
Well, let's see. Projected energy, it has to be accepted, invited. I
Invited.
don't-
Yes, it has to be recognized. People, it works best when asked. So, like, if you'd come in hot, Mary Claire, about this guy without you just observing and knowing what
Mhm,
she needs, especially as a projector with
mhm,
this energy and not being asked to share it, she
mhm.
wouldn't have heard you at all.
No.
Like, it could have caused a real problem. She may have moved in the opposite direction and closer to him because she's like, why's Haley all up in my business? So, and it's good that it's projected energy because it has the potential to be very persuasive and get what
Mm-hmm.
it wants. And so it has to be so taken care of. So consider looking at your own personal life during this time. What do my people need? And what can I do to help them realize what they need? And how can I guide them in that direction? And really look at the levels of integrity within yourself and seeing if you are being integrous with yourself. Because if you're not, and what that looks like physical integrity, are you taking care of yourself, your spiritual integrity, your resource integrity? Are you being honest and with yourself about where you are financially and what you need and what you don't need? And are you taking care of yourself? Like all these things that are really important to look at your own personal integrity, because that's the energy in the universe right now at
Mm-hmm.
that time here on earth, I should say. And if you have this gate, to always make sure you're checking in with that, because you want to make sure that you are always doing that self check, because you may
Mm-hmm.
not even realize that you're getting into these manipulative behaviors
Yeah.
and trying
Taking.
to get an agenda across to meet your own needs, that perhaps you should just take care of that yourself and not try to get
Mm-hmm.
other people to fill those needs for you, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, and when you're talking about doing that, like that check in with yourself, like if you think about it's the will center, it's the material world. If you think about like we check buildings for their structural integrity because we need to make sure that it's sound, that
Hmm.
it's all
Just because you
good, that it
built it
can
once,
hold
right?
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you got
Yeah.
to check in with it, make sure it's all still good.
Yeah. Let's all be thankful for those elevator inspectors.
Oh yeah. Thank
Every time you
you.
get in one, I'm like, when's the last time this thing's been inspected?
Oh, parking garage elevator. Ugh.
Those are just I can't. Okay.
Presley's gotten stuck in one.
No.
Yeah. With his old boss, he got stuck in one in I think Raleigh. I think they
I just got
stuck
chills.
less than half an hour, I think, but still like, ugh.
I'm sorry, that's so much less scary for two men than for women getting stuck. I generally don't use those. I figure
No.
this is the opportunity for me to use stairs. I don't really like to, unless it was like the ones in Charleston, or it was the end of the day and you're very tired and it's very hot and you're like, but then they never had air conditioning in the elevators anyhow, so who wants to go in
Oh.
those? Sorry.
Anyways,
Sideways. All right, we wrap that up.
we need
Okay.
we need like a jingle to close out a tangent.
Yeah, we need a producer that would be on the side, like ringing that little bell jingle going
No, I
right
mean
up.
not no, I mean in the actual final cut of the episode, we just have a jingle that plays out of a tangent.
I'm not sure what you're saying.
Oh,
What do you
yeah.
mean? What do you
If
mean?
it, you'd have a little like a jingle, it would be our tangent, and then it would jingle, and then it would just be us back into actually talking about what we were talking about.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Jingle jangle.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
on the 14th of December,
Mhm.
we're going to be moving
Mhm.
into gate 11, which is the gate of
11.
ideas.
Ooh.
Yes. In the I
Mhm.
Ching, it's called peace. And in quantum, she calls it the conceptualist.
Ooh.
And I can see you're looking it up. It's in the ajna.
Yes.
It connects to gate 56 in the throat in the channel of
Mhm.
curiosity.
Mhm.
And this was one of the gates that were always easy for me to latch on quickly to, of understanding what it was about, because ideas, that seems pretty clear. But
Mhm.
this is a mind, if you have this activated, that is full of ideas, always coming up with new ideas, wanting to share new ideas, possibly chase down ideas. But the thing is, most of those ideas are never actually intended for you yourself to manifest
Mhm.
them, right? Remember
Mhm.
that. It
Yes.
is an energy of imagination and playing with a possibility, in the sense of it's collective circuitry. It's in the abstract circuitry, right? So there is, and connecting to gate 56, which is the wanderer. it is about narrative. And if so, if we think about 6447, and then because that's where it starts,
Mhm.
6447, and then the circuitry jumps over to gate 11 down into 56. And so, what do we know about that side of the chart as far as what kind of energy is coming out of the 6447 in that collective
It's
circuitry?
it's memories, it's not necessarily words that
Hmm.
could be come
Hmm.
across as ideas. It's memories, it's images, it's like the puzzle pieces that you that's coming in.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yes. And it is about learning or putting together those pieces and creating meaning, like what happened kind of stuff. It's part of that experiential circuitry as well.
Mhm.
And so as it connects with gate 56, it's the curiosity there is all those ideas and possibilities of what could be, what could have been, all this things that are really, it's not meant for ideas to immediately get into action. It's more about contemplation. A lot of times, this energy or people with this energy want to focus more on the positive aspects of these experiences and helping take some of these ideas about what happened or these ideas of what is being shown to help create new positive beliefs, because it as it keeps going, it's about creating new narratives and everything, and deciding what it is you want to bring forward and what you want to not bring forward.
Mhm.
So it's really, I always say people that have this gate, especially if it's not connecting to gate 56, like it doesn't have a way to kind of channel it, focus it, is to,
Mhm.
have your own idea journal type of thing, like have a special folder on your phone or a notebook that you have that when you are getting all these ideas, just write them down and note them, but then just let them go. Like just put them away. Because quite often you'll find that, like I said, most of them aren't meant for you. Even
Mhm.
though you had the idea, chances are you will come into contact with someone at some point that you'll be like, oh, I have an idea for you. Or you realize this one was meant for
Mhm.
them, not
Mhm.
for you. And there's also a level of kind of that trust in timing and in flow, in the sense that if you have an idea that gets a hold of you like that and you just don't act on it, you just think about it, contemplate it, put it away, let it go. It may have inspired you, but then just kind of let it settle.
Mhm.
You'll find that the ones that are for you, if you trust your strategy and authority, if it keeps coming back, you'll still get that sensation of like it's inspiring or it's something you want to
Mhm.
do. But strategy and authority is also how we understand when the timing is right for things as well,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So if it's something that, if you trust that if it's right for you, then the time when it's right to act on it will be presented to you and you'll
Mhm.
know it. You'll feel it. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
usually will keep coming back to you if it's for you.
Mhm.
But if you just act on every idea that comes into your head,
Oh god.
a lot of wasted time and energy there if you try it.
Honestly, I do that when I'm tidying the apartment. I just it's like I see something like, "Oh, I gotta do that." And then I'll walk into another room and I see something else. I'm like, "Oh wait, no, I gotta do that." And then
Yeah.
I'm like,
I think that's ADD.
"Yeah, I think so. A
I think
little
it's
bit."
inherited. So this is a beautiful energy and mind of
Mhm.
inspiration and ideas, but also in the shadow side, always, like we just said, trying to come make every idea come to fruition is
Mhm.
not going to serve anyone. For one, if it was best meant for someone else and you run with it, they'll never know it. And
Yeah,
they're
from people.
stealing their ideas. Yeah.
Stealing the ideas for meant for them.
Or treating like every idea is yours and yours alone, like I said, then not sharing it for everybody's benefit. It's just like, that's just for me. So that leads into like
Mhm.
operating from a more scarcity mindset. Like there's not enough
Yeah.
ideas, there's not enough
Because
things.
is that the 6440s Civ
7.
64, 47, and the 11. Like, what
Hmm.
is that tribal or is that community or
It's
collective?
collective. Collective.
Collective.
Hmm.
Yeah. So there you go. Like, it's for the masses.
It's for the masses. Yes. And so the idea here is during this time, there could be lots of ideas floating around. You might have lots of ideas. So kind of play around with thinking about maybe a time when you had a good idea and it worked out and it was for you. Like, did you feel it in your body? What do you remember about how it kind of came together? Was it
Hmm.
something that you forced, or did you have the idea? Because, and then something shows up, especially if you're a generator type, something shows up outside of you to validate that idea, that it's the right time for that idea. Or if you're non sacral, if you had the idea and you didn't try to go force it on people, and then you find out that maybe by waiting and being patient and being recognized, that idea might have a chance to flourish and be shared with someone else.
Perfect example. I made the yearbook
What do you mean?
when my senior year of high school, when I
Mm-hmm.
was the yearbook editor,
Mm-hmm.
when I had, so like junior, I took the class junior year and I was just
Mm-hmm.
like I wasn't the editor, obviously. And the teacher, he had us all do an assignment where we like created basically, he was looking for ideas for next year's yearbook and finding an editor. And I had this idea and it literally just like came to me and I went with it. I made it the best I could. And then I didn't force anything with it. I just let it flow. And then I was yearbook editor and then it worked
Mm-hmm.
out very well.
Yeah. Yeah. All the layers, all the between the projectorness, the ideas, the undefined throat. Yes, definitely. Yeah. So really thinking about during this time, like I said, remembering when you've had those ideas, how did it feel when it was like the right idea and the right time, to where do you feel most comfortable sharing your ideas? Like,
Mhm.
do you have a community? Do you know people that are interested in your ideas and who they are and exploring those ideas? Again, you could sometimes share ideas without the intention of acting on them, just like, hey, I think they call it brainstorming. This might be an idea. Um, are they practical? Are they kind of whimsical? Are they just an inspiration meant to like prod something else along? Like
Mhm.
a lot of curiosity during this
Yeah.
time.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, and focus and think about, well, am I just being distracted by these ideas? Maybe I need to focus in one area or another. But anyway, so there's gonna be a lot of mental energy around
Mm.
that time. So
Paying attention. Mhm. Mhm.
any other thoughts on that one?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Lost
No
no thought.
ideas.
No ideas. We're going to save them. So on the 20th, we're getting close to Christmas. On
Ooh.
the 20th, we are moving into gate 10, which is in the G Center. And it is
Yep.
traditional. It's the love of self.
Mm. Mm.
I Ching calls it treading.
Oh.
And yeah, I don't know. And Quantum she calls it self love, more specific. It's love of self, self love. This is one of those gates that connects in multiple channels.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the 1020 is the channel of awakening, so connecting to the throat. 1034, connecting to the sacral,
Mhm.
exploration. And then 1057, spleen center, gate of intuition. And that's called perfected form.
Mm. Okay.
So, really, the key points here, it's kind of in the name. Self love, love of self.
Oh.
And this is all about the love of self. It is the gate of that empowers people to love and accept themselves through authentic living. And so if you
Mm.
have this gate, this is like going to, especially if it's a sun gate, if it's your birth, like if this is your energy, this is going to be a big part of your purpose here on earth, is helping people love and accept themselves for who they are, their authentic self. There's a lot of
What
authenticity
what
in
an
this.
it's a very interesting time to be in this gate being so close to Christmas. Like that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Mhm.
Oh, well, how so?
Well, I mean, like if you really abide by the Christian aspect of Christmas, like it's the birth of Jesus, who Jesus
Mm-hmm.
was all about loving everyone, like
Mm-hmm.
that he preached love, loving yourself. So it is
Mm.
just very interesting to be
Loving others as you love yourself.
yeah, like so it's a very interesting time to be moving into this gate.
It's a very good connection because that is so true. If you don't love yourself,
You
you're
can't
living
love
in a
others.
place of fear and division and so many other things, judgment, because
Hmm.
you are then projecting that out onto the other person, but really it's a lot of self loathing.
Hmm. And
Interesting.
like if it follows, I mean, like by the time we get to Christmas, the 25th, it is going to be probably in the line 5 of this gate,
Mm.
which is the heretic,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just another little
Little
layer.
projection, little wire. Yes, and so this gate plays an important role. It's in individual circuitry, but also one of the I can't remember which one it is. 3410, I believe, is the integration network, which is those primal circuitries that are what differentiates us as human beings, like actually being here in the physical world, who we are, what our individual self is, what it's about. And there's just a lot of focus on self-love and exploring what it means to also be self-aware, like understanding your place in the world and what's correct for you, and not any perfected form. 5710 is being able to intuitively act on your own behalf, knowing what's healthy for you, what's right for you, right?
Hmm.
The 3410 is that energy, that individual power, the exploration of being able to explore and use that energy of what's right for you, empowering yourself in that way. So much about authentic living, self exploration, and loving yourself for what you know to be true and not what society or the world says uh, what kind of person you should be, or even your
Hmm.
family thinks you should be this way, but you feel like you should be that way. And so these people play an important role because with that, if someone is living in a highly expressed version of this, like being comfortable with themselves, being openly aware that what they want's important, it's like such a beacon to everybody else around them to like be able to like, whoa, hey, that's okay. I can do that too because they can do it. I can do it. So
Hmm.
you have a very big impact on the people around you. Let's see. And so it can be kind of a catalyst for other people too, just your energy.
Hmm.
If you're in the shadow aspect of it, there's it's going to, remember, it can also have an impact, and it's more of over identifying with like the ego side of yourself and the identity of who you think you should be, without really paying attention to what your, maybe your heart, your soul, your spirit is telling you who you really are. You're kind of identified with the labels of who you think you should be. And you think that that might be what will bring you that sense of love for yourself and
Hmm.
empowerment, if you can achieve a certain stature, or
Fit into a certain box.
sit in a certain box, like I'm going to be the greatest mom, or I can be the perfect this or the perfect that, of taking those labels and trying to
Hmm.
fit yourself into those labels instead of just like being yourself, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so there's there's a lot of emphasis on this authenticity and loving the self, and knowing that you're more also than just here in this physical self, that there's also that connection to a higher self, which is also
Hmm.
you, and being able to meld all that together. So really there's going to be themes like that happening, like you just said, you're connected to something bigger. We are moving
Hmm.
into, even though it's a imposed by man timeline of what we're
Hmm.
celebrating, this is still the collective energy on the planet.
Hmm.
Christianity has far wide reaching influence. Thank you to capitalism.
Well, it is. I mean, I think I can see because Christmas was the Christian version of Christmas was taken from a pagan holiday, and
Yeah.
they so I from what I understand of the pagan religion, it was very much more like this kind of nature, like much more. I don't want to say much more spiritual, but like I can see why they may have had this holiday around this time
Hmm.
without even noticing it, like or realizing it.
Hmm.
Because if I mean this energy of the human design, it's been here, it's
Hmm.
been around. We
Hmm.
just didn't have this explanation for it before
Hmm.
it was brought forward. But I can see, I mean, the energy's always been there.
Yeah.
It's been there like this. So,
Well, I just made a connection when you were talking about around Christmas and everything, and
mm-hmm.
it made me think of the story of Scrooge, of Scrooge,
Mm, mm-hmm.
because what is this all about? His story. He's this miserly old man. He's
Scrooge.
yeah, he's taken on this journey. He's very much become this version of himself that he's reminded throughout the Christmas story of
Carol.
Christmas Carol. Thank you. Not the Christmas story, the Christmas Carol. That he once was a young boy. He had dreams, he had love, and he
Mm-hmm.
chose expectations of him over what was true for his heart. And in doing so, he became a version of himself that he no longer recognized. And he was given the gift of seeing that if he reconnected with what was that part of him that loved and loving himself and choosing that part of him just transformed him. Transformation, mutation. And that I'm thinking about it now. I'm like, oh, I'm getting all choked up because well, so many Christmas stories follow that same theme. People
Mm-hmm. They
have
really do.
lost touch with what's important and love and loving themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and which ripples out to that around them. And so, yeah, there is a big thing here. And so, thinking about that during that time, what is really holding you back from being who you are? Are you the person that you intended yourself to be? What do you fear most about not really being who you truly are? Like, what are you hiding?
Mm-hmm.
What are you not paying attention to? What do you not want others to find out about you? What are you afraid of? Like, are you afraid of being judged? Is this limiting your ability to express yourself authentically? I think we could all raise a hand and say yes.
Mm-hmm.
But really look at your dark sides, look at the light sides, look at the highs and lows, which your human design chart will show you that. If you don't already have a solid knowledge of these gates and their energies, do you have the human design guidebook that you could
Mm-hmm.
purchase, which will tell you every single gate in your design, what the high and low or the balanced and unbalanced
Mm-hmm.
expressions are there, and not looking at them as one is good or bad, but embracing all of that of yourself, of knowing that
Mm-hmm.
there's times I'm like this, there's times I'm like that, but overall it doesn't make you a bad person or a
Mm-hmm.
really good person. You're just a
Yeah.
person.
I mean, there's a quote along the lines of like, without dark, there cannot be light.
Mhm.
Like you have to have both sides.
Yeah, and you have to bring the darkness to the light in order to see it. Yeah, you can't have one without the other. We're not, we talk about all the time, we're not static beings, expressions. There is
Mm-hmm.
nothing fixed. We're so anyway, so be kind to yourself.
Yeah. Be kind to others.
Nice. And
It's
it's a
just
nice, you're going to like this moving into the next gate too, because if
Bye.
it's, like you said, it's interesting. It's on the 25th, roundabout, moving into gate 58, which
Mm-hmm.
is joy of life, which
Hey, I have
is
that
in
one.
the I Ching. Yeah, you have the channel. Uh, all three agree this is about joy. Traditional
Love
says
it.
joy of life, I Ching is joy, quantum is joy. It's that channel of judgment, like I said. It's in the root, and it is the pressure. So since it's a root center gate, there's a pressure associated with
Mm-hmm.
it, and it is the pressure to improve and correct anything that prevents society, people from achieving and maintaining their own well being, their health. And there's this overwhelming sense of bringing joy to things and enthusiasm as a way to find a better way. If you think about that circuitry of what is it's moving towards the 58 to the 18, 48 to the 16, so that when it
Mm-hmm.
gets expressed, it is this mastery. It is mastering what is good, making those corrections as improvements, but it's got to start with a sense of joy of life, of like it says, of to bring a more bold and enthusiastic approach to challenging
Mm-hmm.
norms and making those corrections.
Yeah. It's
Um,
it's focusing on correcting out of joy, not correcting out of negativity or malice. It's correcting for good, correcting for happiness. Like, let's have some joy.
you want to make it better, like I said, and this is one of your two channels that you have defined, and so yeah, you have the ability to find those things that need to be corrected and everything, but
Mhm,
you're never doing it out of a sense of trying to correct someone to make them feel bad. You're always just trying to make those improvements to make something better, to make
mhm,
life more enjoyable, to be happy with the outcomes and make sure that it's healthy and supportive. And there's a lot in this, which is also interesting. It's a collective gate. And it's collective circuitry. And part of the purpose here is to help people, help others recognize flaws in the status quo, in the way things are happening, and create positive changes in the future, right?
mhm,
Something else we could definitely need. And so joy acts as that fuel to drive you forward because you're working towards something. And if you think about the whole circuitry there of like mastering a talent or becoming really well versed in the thing that you're interested in, well, you've got to want to do it, right? There's got
mhm,
to be a reason why. And it's because you know it's going to bring about positive changes, usually. It's going to be a positive exploration or expression of something, right?
mhm,
And so this is as a root center gate, we always talk about the pulse of energy and not
mhm,
knowing like when it's going to come. And so one of the things, again, if we're going to be talking about timing and trusting in the timing of things, it's emphasized with gate 58 that to have this sense of gratitude, of joy, of that expectant feeling that something good is going to come.
mhm,
And don't be such a drag. But what's the 25th? Celebration, joy, joy to the
yeah,
world, right?
legitimately.
Mhm.
Mhm, mhm,
And so it's finding that joy within yourself as well and like tapping into that and not letting so much allowing the outside circumstances to determine your joy, but to be a source of joy and in your
mhm,
own life. And I'll tell you, joy is one of those words that has a very big impact on me because it's one of those there's joy, there's peace, there's love. These are three words that if I'm in a state of maybe anxiety or worry, if I do like kind of tune in and I just start repeating the word joy to myself, it brings a real sense of that in my heart. I don't know about you, but it's just like I feel like the energy just
mhm,
starts to emanate. And I think love does that, like the actual words.
mhm. Oh yeah, I mean, we've just us talking about joy right here. Like, I feel more joyful.
Yeah,
Like
there's power
I
in
and
that,
then I'm
right?
like thinking of things that I've done that like just make me happy, that are joyful. Like,
Hmm.
mhm,
And the things that you've created and worked on, why you did it, you're motivated by that sense, right? By that feeling,
yeah.
which is good. It's good stuff.
Presley doesn't always understand it.
Yeah.
What?
S-
It's my joy. It's
Don't
mine.
take my joy. So there can be some shadow behaviors here when you're not allowing that joy really kind of being, since it's collective energy, being more self-absorbed and really focusing on your own personal needs, not like what you can do to help improve the situation around you. Like I said, seeking your joy or happiness through external sources instead of yourself, like
Mhm.
relate relying on others to help you feel joyful. I mean, it's great to be in an environment where others are, but
Mhm.
that's like a true gift if you can tap into it yourself. Like we just said, if you can just sit with yourself and just contemplate the word joy, just because that can create such an energetic shift that changes everything in the room,
Mhm.
right? But if you're never really tapping into that, it has the opposite effect.
And I will say for myself, like one thing that does make me feel joy is like if I just go outside and close my eyes and put my face towards the sun.
Oh
Like
yeah.
legitimately that makes me joyful. And it can
Hmm.
be so simple.
There's people that actually I've seen YouTube videos about that. I forget what they call it, but there's like a phrase or a term for it of like just standing and actually facing and tilting your face up to the sun
Mhm. Mhm. I do make sure that I remove my glasses from my face so I don't have like a
and close your eyes.
yeah, yeah. I said close my eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. So also if you're kind of in a unbalanced aspect of this, you might be finding yourself stuck in some negative thought patterns about unmet like expectations or disappointment, a little moodiness, depression, that kind of thing. So self-awareness first of all of noticing that you may be there because it is very insidious to like have these looping thoughts or whatever and not realize that you're even doing it. So
Mhm.
checking in with yourself, noticing your mood is such an important thing that I think that it's got to be the campaign going on forward is like regular, even if it's hourly check-ins with yourself of what are you actually feeling right now
Mhm.
and what can you do about it? Good, bad, what do you want to do? What needs to shift? And then another thing, especially at this time of year, because there is a lot of, oh, maybe aren't feeling that joy. And something that people do participate in during Christmas, which is also a good antidote to feeling moodiness or depression, is to focus on others, focus on
Mhm.
being of service to others. How many people lift their spirits during this time of year by volunteering, helping with other people, taking care of other people? As you get older, you find that gift giving is way more satisfying sometimes than receiving because
Mhm.
you're giving your joy. You want to make people happy, and focusing on others is also a good way to cultivate joy
Mhm.
for yourself. So during this time, think about what really in your life brings you joy. Are you doing these things? What makes you feel
Mhm.
alive? How can I share that with others? How can it help others? Um, really being able to recognize maybe when you're not, I mean, we're not going to be joyful all the time. That's not
Mhm.
possible,
Yeah.
but with the intention of trying to keep tapping back into it in that expectation again of even when things look bleak, I think when I tap into joy, it reminds me that I fundamentally believe that the universe is expanding and it's reaching towards love and joy. Like that is what wants to come through. And if
Mhm.
you can, because it feels good, like
Yeah.
it's what everybody wants. It's how we all want to feel. We're not all looking
Mhm.
to feel bad. We're all looking to feel good. We're trying to find the things that make us feel good. And so since it's in that root center, you don't know what's going to happen. Can you let go of expectation? Can you just remain in a sense of kind of optimistic
Mhm.
anticipation? Like it'll all work out. That's my go-to mantra when I feel it's sliding me is everything's always working out for me. It's gonna be working out. And I actually took a page from you that I started doing the thing where I'll be like, what's the best thing that can happen?
Mhm.
Like, really, how good can it get? How good could this be? How great
Mhm.
could I feel? Is it how much good could possibly come out of this in a good way?
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
find when I do that, I learned that from you that I was like, because my mind does want to go to negative a lot. And if I shift it to that, it's like you can literally feel the energy shift within yourself when that happens. So
Mhm. Mhm.
thank you, my little role
Oh,
model.
little sage.
All right, so let's wrap up the month here
Mhm. Mhm.
on the 31st. And this always occurs around this time of year, and I always find it really interesting. Gate 38,
Mhm. Mhm.
the gate of the fighter.
38. I'm finding it. Where?
It's in the root as well.
Oh, there it is.
Hmm.
It's sandwiched between my two other gates.
Yes. It's the gate of opposition in the I Ching, or the hexagram opposition in the I Ching. And in quantum, she calls it the visionary. And this is in 2838, channel of struggle.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
We talk about this one a lot. I know we do.
mm-hmm,
And people with this gate in their, especially as their sun gate, these are people who are at their best when they're up against the odds. And it's the pressure to give life meaning and purpose. And it's called the fighter because it is that knowing, it's having the energy to fight for something that's
mm-hmm,
important to you. And these are like, this is action oriented, but it's also, you need to know when to balance that out with like when to act and when to hold back. To root center gate, there's going to be about timing there. But this energy really is wanting to make a difference in the world. Like it is, I think it's interesting that comes up on New Year's Eve because there's a lot of excited energy around New
mm-hmm.
Year's, right?
Yeah.
That's what I always think about. And people are like, maybe not fighting for the right things, they're just drunken fighting, but there is a lot of excited
Yeah.
energy.
And I mean, it's the same energy. Like people, they want to change things for the better. Like you think about New Year's resolutions, you're like, what am I going to fight to change to better myself?
Exactly. People are really thinking about what you just said. What do I want to do? What's the new year going to hold? What am I going to fight for and change, like you said, exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
So it has a natural fighter spirit, and it's also fighting for yourself, fighting for what's right for others as well. But really, this is a strong gate. It is individual circuitry. It's very independent energy. It's like if you think about the warrior or the soldier like waiting to go into battle kind of thing, like he's got to have a purpose, he's got to feel like he's actually fighting for some meaning in order
Mm-hmm.
to complete the job. Like he's willing to do, she is willing to do the hard things, is willing to go to the mat because there is a purpose behind what they're
Mm-hmm.
doing. It's not just empty fighting energy. They can maintain that vision despite the odds, the opposition. Like I said, when their backs up against the wall, they're like, if they have that purpose, they're like, they're crusaders. Let's go. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Being in that channel of struggle, though, it's, if you don't have the 28, you may struggle with knowing what's worth fighting for. Like you might just have this fighter energy about you,
Mm-hmm.
can make you oppositional. Like I said, as we approach this time of year, there could be a little excitability there. And so, really contemplating the things, let's say, is there a hill you've chosen to stand on? Is it worth it? Kind of thing. What are you fighting for? Like, what's important to you? Is it something that you could let go? Is it causing you to maybe unnecessarily struggle, should say, causing you to maybe fight for a certain belief or identity that maybe isn't serving you, that could be leading you to burnout because you're
Mm-hmm.
just pushing against that energy all the time? And asking yourself, maybe, do I just choose hard things? I mean, I do know people with this energy and with this gate, and they are very determined people, especially the whole channel, but without an understanding of how these energies work, or trusting yourself, accepting yourself, loving yourself, all these things that are going to be so important, you could just find yourself, that energy just wants to fight about something, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know a few people with this, and I
Mm-hmm.
know it can get the better of them at times. It's just a stubborn, oppositional
Mm-hmm.
position. I know your husband has this channel. I wasn't thinking about him in particular. I mean,
Oh,
he
I
can.
wasn't either because I was actually pulling up his chart to look at it because I was like, does he have this one? But
He
he does.
does. He does.
But
Yeah, I
he doesn't, I don't think, really live in the shadow. But
no. No, but
damn, is
when
he
I
love
think
to fight for things.
but I think of the few people that I know personally close by, he's one of them. My old boss is one of them. My sister-in-law is one of them. It's like they are determined people. Like they will, case in point, my sister-in-law, your Aunt Haley.
Mm-hmm.
Um, struggle is a real theme in her life for sure at times. But when she was put to the test when her son Lance was like 4 years old and diagnosed with a brain tumor, and it was cancer and it was bad. Like, it did not matter that she was only late 20s. She was not a college graduate. She was a mom with a young child having to deal with a very, very serious illness. And that woman, I will always respect her for that, that she fought every
Hmm.
every doctor, every not being oppositional, but made them
She was
listen to
fighting
her.
for Lance.
She was fighting for him. They made them listen to her. She made them listen to her. She asked them questions. She literally did it for him. And that's the kind of determination of what I think about, that just inner core that these people can have, that they know they can do it and they have this drive to make it right and
Hmm.
see it through. And so it's very strong energy. So just be paying attention during that time. Make sure there could be some oppositional energy around you. Again, check in. Is this something that's important? Do I need to, die on this hill?
Hmm.
Is it worth it? Is there a better way? And also, maybe on the other side of it, are there things that are important to you that you maybe aren't fighting for? Maybe for yourself, something that you know that you need to maybe bring forth in the world, that maybe you've been resting on. You've not been putting that fighter energy within you to see it through. Are you creating new resistance around that? Are you trying to resist? So there's a lot of things to consider there as we wrap up the calendar year
Hmm.
on New Year's Eve. Like I said, always a fun way to go out on the new year every year fighting.
Yeah. It is like real charged energy to
It
be
is.
ending one year, ending our calendar year and starting a new
Yeah.
year with.
Which we know it's like,
Yeah.
it is the modern world. We're not living by gate five in the natural rhythms of things. We're living by a man made imposed calendar system and
Hmm.
clocks. But
Really, all time construct it's
yeah,
just what it is.
that's what it is. All right. So that's what we can expect for December. A whole lot going
Hmm.
on there. It
Hmm.
sounds like a lot of introspection, which makes
Hmm.
sense with transformation of like around yourself, what's important to you, your own natural rhythms, what's coming up, what do you want to maybe transform, change.
Hmm.
A lot going on there.
Hmm.
Keep
I sorry, it's
flinging your bangs around.
it's getting a little twitchy.
You get a little twitchy. I know. Me too. I've been sitting here too long. We got to wrap this up. So let's bring in our final segment for today. What is it going to be, Haley?
That's not how you set it up. I also don't have gate five, but I do like my routines.
I don't know. How do I set it up? Do you know what time it is, Haley?
I don't know if that's right either.
Okay. So
You
that
need to
means,
say, you need to say, it's time for, and then I can
okay.
say the incarnation cross of the week.
Okay. All right. All right. So as we wrap it up, you know what that
You
means,
don't want to
Haley?
say it.
It's time for.
The incarnation cross of the week.
I did not look at you to make sure you got through that. I'm sorry.
That's why I close my eyes every
My
time.
eyes were closed. I was not looking, not making eye contact.
I'm pretty
Yes,
sure I close my eyes every time.
it's time for the incarnation cross of the week. Yes, so every month we do an incarnation
Every week.
cross. I mean, every week. We just said week. hmm We
Uh,
do an incarnation cross. Again, we were just talking about why these sun energies are so important. The incarnation cross is the energies of your sun and earth gates on your conscious and unconscious sides of your chart. It's a big chunk of who you are, the energy you bring into this world, and kind of can be seen overarching as like the theme in your life,
Mhm.
purpose why you're here, all these things. There's 192 of them. And so we just been trying to highlight them every episode, almost every
Mm-hmm.
episode. I don't do them on guest episodes, but most episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So this week's Incarnation Cross is the left angle cross
Mm.
of Upheaval 2.
Oh.
So this cross on the conscious side, personality side of the chart, the sun is in gate 18, correction.
Mm.
Earth is in gate 17, opinions.
Okay.
On the unconscious side, design side, on the left side of the chart, the sun is in gate 39, the provocateur.
Oh.
And the earth is in gate 38, the fighter,
Oh.
as we know.
Okay. So we have correction, opinions, provocateur, and the fighter. Okay.
Upheaval. Can you
It
say
for
upheaval?
real.
It's
Let's
good though.
see.
It's good. It's good. Which is funny because I did just kind of spin my little sheet and picked one, and I saw Upheaval 2 and I saw 18, 17, and I scrolled over to see what all the gates were. I saw the fighter. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's what we wanted to hear. We wanted to hear about this one today. The
You know
universe
what?
said
It's
now's the
all
right
about
time.
timing.
And the 18, the other end of the 58 there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so the left angle cross of Upheaval. If you were born under this cross, excuse me, your mission is to be a catalyst for change, challenging conventional norms and dismantling outdated beliefs that hinder joy and progress, hindering joy.
Mm-hmm.
With courage and clear vision, you share your insights and judgments to inspire transformation and unlock new possibilities for those around you. You're here to ignite hope and empower others to dream boldly, even when faced with resistance or authority. By provoking thought and encouraging exploration, you guide people to recognize and release the limitations that hold them back. Through your leadership, you inspire others to embrace new potentials and trust in their ability to manifest abundance. Your commitment to growth and freedom creates a ripple effect, demonstrating that by confronting and breaking free from old habits, everyone can achieve their dreams and live with greater joy and purpose.
Oh, love that. I also love the idea of igniting hope. Like,
Igniting hope,
let's do
says
it.
the girl with gate 58. Let's do that. So, yes, as I said, so to reiterate again, I mentioned it earlier, but if you'd like more insight into your own human design and your chart, don't forget you can always start with the human design guidebook that is linked in the show notes, which is a completely customized PDF report delivered to your inbox with your incarnation cross
Oh.
that goes through all aspects of your design, something that you can, like I said, I see it as a resource to keep coming back to when,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know we always are looking at, well, do I have Get Gate or what about this? Or how does that play out? You can have it all in one place where you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're somebody likes to print it out, you can print it out. But just as you keep going through your human design journey, something that you can keep going back to, have it all in one place. And so you can have that, or you can always work with me one on one, which I love to do, and really go through some of these aspects and really get to the heart of what it is you want to bring forth in this world, maybe where you're getting hung up, what it is. People come to me a lot trying to really get confirmation of kind of what they know they're here to do and what their purpose is, but they're
Mm-hmm.
kind of too scared or maybe don't believe it's really true, know about themselves. But, anyways, I love working with people one on one in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be lots of new ways in the new year to work with me and maybe Haley too. So we're always planning, always scheming through
We're always
joy.
trying to manipulate.
Yep, through joy. Well, let's just say, people, I mean, I have the 44, you have the 26.
Hi.
Yay, we try to bring it to you in a way that feels good. It's what you
Yeah.
need. All right, so we'll just leave that there. And anything else you want to add before we say goodbye, Haley?
Mm. Joy, peace, and love.
Yes, there we go. All right, well, love you, kid, and we'll be uh, catching up with you on the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. You made it all the way to the end of today's episode, so you must have liked what you heard. If you did, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and perhaps leave us a good review. And if you know someone who wants to dig into all things human design with us, make sure you share the Human Design Hive podcast with them. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening.